outside the heart of democracy, supporters of the transgender community gathered in their thousands to say one thing. It comes just days after this. Women's rights campaigners outside the Supreme Court after a ruling that the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex. For both sides, how they communicate is the same.
All women's rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights.
What they're communicating, though, so utterly different.
Trans liberation.
Against a backdrop marching through Westminster, trans support groups voice their concern, in total disagreement with the judgment of the UK's highest court.
The ruling itself relies on an idea of biological sex, which they also then fail to define. They're not telling us, is that chromosomal? Is that hormonal? Is that based on genitals? No one knows what that actually means in practice for people who are having to decide who has access to what space.
The concerns raised, echoed by others.
The law, the legislation, hasn't really dealt with the question of gender and sex in any serious way.
I was angry, I was devastated when I read it. This is going to cost lives, and that's the truth.
A message felt so strongly, at least 2 statues in Parliament Square were covered by graffiti. One of them, suffragette Millicent Fawcett.
We will not be quiet.
As people gather in London, others march over 300 miles away in Edinburgh, separated by distance, united in disappointment.
In law, a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate, i.e. a document to say you've changed gender, is not legally recognised as a woman. It means they won't be able to use women's loos, changing rooms or compete in women's sports.
That, according to this former Olympic swimmer, were steps that were long overdue.
To find solutions, we needed nuance, but we weren't allowed to do the nuance because we weren't even allowed to debate. So if you come from a position where a trans woman is a woman and nothing else counts, where do you go from that? Whereas we were going, well, actually, that's not biological fact. And in something like sport, it's really relevant. Your physical ability is what it's all about.
Questions now turn to how this ruling will be interpreted in reality, from bathrooms to domestic refuge centres. In the eyes of the law, trans women are not women, but many on this march fiercely disagree. Amelia Harper, Sky News.